Serious for editors who have spent time in prison. What are some unspoken rules between inmates that should be known? Even if you aren't racist, you gotta stay with your own race. I was in a few times when I was quite young in Canada. Here's some rules. You don't whistle. You don't call anyone a goof. It's the worst insult. The American version is bitch or punk. If you borrow something, it's generally a rule that you pay back twice what you've taken. You don't steal, ironically. Don't talk about what you're in for. Don't gamble if you can't pay your debts. Don't back down from a challenge. Always make sure a seat isn't taken before sitting in the cafeteria. Don't hide in your cell. Keep your cell clean. Don't be friendly with the guards. I have been in jail, not prison. One thing I learned is that Big Brother is considered a gay show, and you will get beat up if you try watching it on a shared TV. Also, never talk about your case unless you are out of appeals, because there are specific inmates who will try to learn just a basic understanding of your case, then lie and say you confessed to killing Billy or whatever. Sprinkle a few legit details about your case to make it sound legit and get some time off. This will destroy you in court, as you will have no way to prove they are lying. I had one of these guys constantly asking me about my address, my family, all kinds of info, but I had been warned and gave false info, so he would discredit himself. I was matriculated in New Mexico's system. If you're unwilling to resort to physical means to be reimbursed for something, don't lend anything. This will result in many of your possessions being stolen. If you make eye contact with someone, don't look away, but rather look as if you're trying to see something behind them. If someone threatens you for something like graham crackers, don't give it to them. It's better to take one potential beating than dozens for forfeiting your food or anything. Never give your opinion to anyone unless asked directly, then lie based on what they were previously discussing. Never take the Lord's name in vain. Many inmates turn to God while incarcerated, and if you say Jesus Christ or something even remotely similar to that, you will probably get jumped. Many prison gangs like artists. This got me through because they want tattoos. So the best way to avoid the bulk of chaos is to be a decent artist. I did 17 months in a low security federal correctional institution. Here are a bunch of unspoken rules. Respect the cup, bowl, spork, or other item used as a microwave line placeholder. Unless under special circumstances, always sit with your race or group in the chow hall. Follow television segregation rules. If friends with people of different races, don't ever assume it's okay to sit close to their television. Always ask your friends, or wait to be invited, regardless of whether they are your race or not. Don't snitch on other inmates. Riots or fights can break down by race real quick. Be prepared to have a friend beat the shit out of you, or beat the shit out of a friend, or get as far away from the fight/riot as possible. When a movie is being shown, don't be the asshole who ruins the experience for everyone else. In other words, watch, stay quiet, or go somewhere else. In preparation for count, if your cellie or bunkie is fucking around or about to screw up the count, it's your responsibility to ensure this does not happen. Everyone will give you crap for not keeping track of your cellie/bunkie. When another inmate says a correctional officer or unit officer is a dick or a bitch, it means they like to intentionally make inmates' lives more difficult. Being buddy-buddy with said officer is offensive, and you might get beat up. The barbershop is not free. Yes, the barbers are paid for cutting hair, but commissary items, $3 to $5 worth is expected, and the barber will tell you what to get for him. Respect others in the showers and bathrooms and they will respect you. Give people trouble and they will seek out ways to fuck with you. Pay all debts as soon as possible. The longer you wait to pay for something, the less trustworthy you seem. Scrabble, chess, and dominoes are serious games. Either be good, get better, or lose horribly. Protect custom-made food. See someone eating something not made from commissary items? The worst idea is to make a big deal about it. If you want and find out who you need to talk to. By doing this, I found out about awesome pizza made with real dough. Homemade ice cream. Must have been at least 15 flavors. I even helped one ice cream producer with pistachio ice cream, apple pie, cookies, fudge, tamales, and other creations. What can be done with a microwave is way more incredible than what most people realize. Don't brag about anything, especially while you are incarcerated. The more you speak, the more people suspect you might be hiding details or lying. Regardless of what you tell anyone when asked about your offense or offenses, be consistent. Can be 100% BS or 100% true. As long as no one is given reason to doubt the story, you won't be hassled. Do not isolate yourself, and do not associate with just one group, and be careful who you hang out with. Via proximity, many assumptions will be made about you, but generally they will be bad. In the US, if you see a group, it won't be one person beating a sex offender to death, you join in, or else you will be labeled a sympathizer and get beat to death too at some point soon. Also, everyone's going to be there for a long time. This is now your family. Be cool, be friendly, but be a man and stand up for yourself. Don't let yourself be taken advantage of, or you always will be. I'm a little drunk, so I'm sure I could word that better. If you need to take a shit, hold it until the morning. Do not stink up the cell. Seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people wouldn't think twice about this. I mean, when you got to go, you got to go, but have a bit of sense. Another one, and I don't know if this was just specific to my time there, but you never bring up another inmate's crime/court case if you happen upon in a newspaper or whatever. People gossip, but where I was, it was a big no-no to start discussing what happened to who, unless you wanted to be beat up. This rule seemed to be enforced by the arrival of a semi-famous celebrity crime boss whose private life was splashed out all over the papers for a few weeks following his sentencing. One young guy decided it would be funny to start a chant about his wife, and was promptly sent to hospital and moved prison. Another rule we all abided by was, don't get involved in other people's feuds/fights, or whatever. No one should jump in or stand up for anyone else for their own safety. I felt a bit bad about this, as one time my cellmate, who was a reasonably decent guy, was beaten up while I watched. I just sort of shrugged, but he understood I wasn't going to jeopardize my safety to save him. After becoming friendly with some of the other inmates, it took a riot, where a guard got his face slashed, and lost an eye. To reiterate that this is prison and everyone is here for breaking the law, the majority violence related. I don't know if this is the norm, but for my clique in prison, we all had an unspoken agreement that we wouldn't contact each other when we were released. Around a year after my release, I bumped into a guy I had gotten on with reasonably well with, and we both sort of pretended to not see each other and went our separate ways. I like to think it's because our gang/clique were all relatively decent guys who didn't want to be reminded of our time being locked up. I live in a relatively small city, so these incidents happen often enough. The only guy to try and engage with me sent me a Facebook message asking me for money. I debated giving it to him, but in the end I just ignored the message. Cruel, but I just don't want to be involved. A few months later, he was shot dead over some drug feud. I've been in Cook County Jail in Chicago, so while not really a prison, it's damn close. There were basically 4 main groups: blacks, Hispanics, whites, and neutrons, slang for anyone that isn't in a gang. I was grouped in with the neutrons. I was asked immediately when I got to my bunk if I was plugged, slang for being in a gang. I told a couple of the guys no, and was told that being a big guy will help me. Just mind my business, obey the unwritten rules, and I'll be okay. A few of the unwritten rules for a neutron: must not eat at the same tables as the gang members. Must wait to eat while all the gang members say grace together before dinner. Yes, you read that correctly. When the gang leaders wanted to shower, you got the fuck out of the showers. Don't get involved in any barter systems with the gangs. Gangs get extra trays of food, no one else, unless you work in the kitchen. At the same time, it was heavily frowned upon within the gang community if a fellow gang member picked on a neutron. It's considered weak, and I've seen guys get their ass kicked by their own gang for doing it. Don't touch my shit. Seriously. When locked up, people have very few things they can call their own, and if you snatch it without asking, what you're gonna wind up with is a fucking beating. And the courtesy flush. No matter where you shit, or when you shit, that toilet better be taking that turd as it is still departing your ass. There's enough nasty odors to contend with on the block. No one needs to add your shit stink to it. For another insight. For anyone wanting to know about juvie in this thread, these are common rules. 1. Shut the fuck up inside your cell. Don't beat/bang on the doors like a raving idiot. That will get the guards in your cell in no time. to move you to the room with all the people in juvie on a more serious offense, which luckily is usually on the other side of a soundproof glass. 2. If you have any tobacco, contraband item in juvie, of course, you share with the crowd. Or risk shit. This is very rare though. 3. Don't go offend anyone, even by accident. 4. If you ain't gonna eat it, toss it to someone during free hour. 5. Bets on games are taken pretty fucking seriously. 6. If you're on a block with female inmates as well, even looking that way can get you in some serious shit. 7. Personal favorite. Don't talk about what you're in for, especially if it's stupid. Guy I was in with was in for busting a gumball machine. He collected over $120 in quarters. Guess why he got caught? 8. Guards are assholes about getting water. Serious assholes. While I was using a chip bag to drink out of all the time. I can't really think of any more subtle ones. Little tip, you're definitely gonna get sick at least once, and it's gonna suck. But the courtesy flush. You flush your poop straight as it falls in, so it doesn't stink out the place too much. Always get a job in the kitchen. If you can, it's the best place to work. Shut the fuck up. Don't talk about your case. Don't look at a motherfucker. Do not accept any gift whatsoever. It will not be free. If you cry in front of anyone, you'd better be a funny guy. More tats means more rights. Walking through a door alongside someone with say a full face of tats, you should take one step slower, so they pass you. Don't shit while locked down your celly. Don't go in other people's cell. Don't hang out in front of other people's cell. Find something to be useful at. You are entering a community. Yes, you'll probably be assigned work, but what else can you do? If you're good at something, see if someone else does it, and befriend them, so you're not taking away business or attention from them. Don't ever reach over another inmate's plate or tray while they're eating, or sitting in front of it. There are designated toilets for pissing and shitting, not by the jail, but by the inmates. You can tell by the ones surrounded in piss, and smell like dead people. The race thing is general, also there's tons of Mexican Nazis and white boys with La Raza and so on. If you ever get into a fight, do not hit below the waist. Also, if someone asks you why you're there, the safest answer to give is that you stole a moderately expensive car, as most other answers will at least one person to dislike you. Personally, I've learned from the older dudes in prison. They've made it a long time, and are generally some of the more respected. Don't fuck with other people. Don't run your mouth ever, and don't do anything that makes you stand. And don't try to buddy the cops for the sake of actually being nice. Good gosh, inmates hated that shit. The most important things to remember are eye contact. Too much and you're a threat, too little and you're a victim. Some places are cakewalks, and some places are warrior schools. You'll know right when you get there which is which. It's better to stand your ground, even if you get fucked up, than to be passive and be victimized. Never snitch and try to make your time mean something. Most prisons have a decent library, read some books. Wipe the toilet down every time you piss. Flush as many times as you are able when shitting. It's my understanding that some facilities limit the amount of times you can flush per hour. Try to hang a blanket between the bunk and the toilet to create something approximating privacy.